Hello and welcome to episode 4 of our Bronze to Diamond series, which is a 90-day challenge where we take a Bronze ADC and attempt to get them all the way to Diamond. Now, if you missed our earlier episodes, we've been slowly transforming Zot from a clueless beginner that got placed in Iron into someone who occasionally resembles a real League player.
What am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? Oh my god. Yeah, like he said, I know what I'm doing.
Just with major emphasis on the occasionally.
Oh my god, am I gonna die to this? Please, no. Please. No!
Well, so far on this journey, we've covered the absolute basics, from how to improve laning with some general game plans that enable you to have multiple win conditions such as item economy, rune trades, wave control, level spikes, that sort of thing. We've even tackled how to deal with every ADC's biggest problem, which is obviously support players.
Oh my oh my god, what did I just watch?
Yet still, despite all of this, the lesson that's made the biggest difference and the one that's carried Zot all the way to Platinum is farming. Because as it turns out, well, even if you lose your lane the majority of the time, forget to level up your abilities, you just don't even use them at all. As long as you, as Zot put it, turn into a
Vacuum cleaner.
You can basically cheat your way through low elo by just consistently building up a gold and level lead over your opponents. However, as Zot's climbed the ladder, surprise, surprise, the players have actually gotten better. His teammates are no longer leaving countless ways for him to hoover up, and his opponents are no longer just letting him mindlessly push side lanes for free. They're actually pushing him now. Honestly, well, we all saw it coming, which sets us up nicely for this week's lesson, something Hector, like some Toy Story villain, dubbed
the big one,
Macro. Those of you following Zot's journey will already know he's definitely not, let's say, the most mechanically gifted player. Which means if Hector wants to get him to Diamond and avoid those hungry sharks, well, it's most likely going to have to be through playing the map, or in other words, Macro. So let's not waste any time here and jump straight into Hector's main lesson for Zot at the start of this week.
I personally hate that a lot of people call League a strategy game because it actually makes teaching players way more difficult. Bear with me for a moment, I know this is going to sound very pedantic. League is not a strategy game, it is a tactics game. Trust me, there is a notable difference. Strategy games imply predictable, controllable outcomes, which can happen at times in League. I get priority, I rotate bot lane, and we have a numbers advantage fight, yada yada yada. The problem is, League educational guides make it seem like that's all there really is. In reality, as you guys already know, League games are usually pretty sloppy, which is why in tactics-based games, they're more so about quick information gathering and fast adaptations. Most importantly, you're not trying to make the best choice all the time. That's because in a real game, you're never going to be able to pause and be like, okay guys, based on our 2 team compositions and with dragons spawning in 23 seconds and analyzing everyone's items, and based on these wave states, what do? It is unrealistic that you can just pause and think about what the best play is in any given situation. So here's our goal for Macro. You want to make simple plays that are likely to have a positive outcome, even if it's a small positive outcome. And you also want to make plays that are likely frustrating for your opponents. You are not trying to get guaranteed leads with your plays, you're just trying to make it way more likely that your opponents mess up and make a mistake.
And that's exactly why we're over a month into this challenge, and this is the first time Macro is even being mentioned. Because without even realizing it, Zot's already laid the foundation of it by just becoming completely addicted to minion waves, which alone has him aggressively pushing in side lanes and pressuring the map more than any ADC he's come up against. But now, we're going to show you how you can build on that instinct with some simple concepts to turn it into actual macro that makes your opponents feel like they can't do anything. Now remember here, Hector's goal is not to turn Zot into a perfect diamond level player. All he's trying to do is get him there, and get him there fast. This is the Ozempic approach to climbing in League of Legends, alright? And it's for that reason why countless players are transforming their rank following Zot's exact journey from bronze to diamond step by step. With over 100 hours of exclusive content, full in-depth lessons, focused VOD reviews exposing the real issues preventing players climbing, to full-length challenger earpieces resources. And if you don't climb at least 5 divisions while actively using our service, well, you're going to get every penny back. No questions asked. Just hit the link below for a limited time discount and start your journey to Diamond today. Anyway, back to the video. So to execute this type of macro, it's going to boil down to how well you can play around 2 main concepts that go hand in hand: information gathering and decision making. Take this situation here. In typical fashion, Zot is shoving in the bot lane on Xayah. Pausing here, what should be the first thing he does when he sees Kassadin appear in the tri-bush? The answer is actually pretty simple. Press tab. When you're in the side lanes as an ADC, people will underestimate you, and in most cases, they're going to fight you regardless. As such, you're going to need to make split-second decisions: fight or run. And to make the best call, you have to know how strong your opponent is. That's why your first instinct should always be to press tab in order to gather information.
You got a health item, but you have a lot of DPS. You're a lethal tempo ADC. He's also a burst champion. Kassadin has Electrocute. It's not like he has Conquer or something. So, you know, like if it's like a Zed with Electrocute, a Fizz with Electrocute, it's a champion that will kind of run out of damage. And you have a lot of ways to avoid damage. All the 3 of these things avoid it. You're full HP. So the conditions to win this are actually pretty much there. He's a burst champion, you're full HP, and you have a lot of ways to avoid damage. And you have DPS to go through his health. So that's kind of how you look at this. So ideally you'd be kiting here, waiting for your W. Yeah, you turned way too early, but this was a good R though. Oh my god, you are going way too fast. Yeah, oh my god. I love that the takeaways we had are so different.
The next lesson is all about awareness.
Oh my god. That guy didn't see me. And I didn't see him.
Which is something Zot and that Urgot could definitely use a little bit more of. But more specifically, mini-map awareness. Groundbreaking stuff, skill capped, we know. So after backing off from a failed mid push, Zot makes the quick decision to head top. And with the enemy team now all showing, he smartly continues to push and trade the tier 2. Pausing here, check his mini-map. What should he do after? For a clue, it's got nothing to do with champions. The answer, he should have checked the mirrored wave. This is the second habit you want to develop before making any decision. If Zot had, he would have seen his minion wave was just about to pass his own tier 2 turret, meaning at this point, he could already be moving up to clear the incoming wave. Instead, Zot only notices when it waddles onto his screen.
Most educational challenger players don't talk about this because they don't even realize they're doing it. But one of the best habits you can ever build to get better is just checking where the mirrored wave is at all times. That is it. Before you trade in lane, check that mirrored wave. Before you recall, check the mirrored wave. Before you do dragon, check the mirrored wave. Before you propose to the love of your life, check the mirrored wave. You always need to be checking it. And I also don't need to teach you how to use the information. Just by knowing where it is, your decision making will naturally improve.
But anyway, with Caitlyn back alive, what are we looking for Zot to do here? You guessed it, we're gonna hit tab. Thankfully he does. CC's up a BF sword and Vamp Scepter to her crit cloak, and despite playing the fight about as poorly as possible, he still manages to come out on top. And at this point, if you were in Zot's shoes, what the heck would you do now? Well, if you were paying attention, the only real information Zot had was that the entire enemy team moved into fog. We could assume some are probably coming behind him, cutting him off. Some of them potentially based, but there's no way of really knowing. However, in these specific situations, the majority of players default to the exact decision Zot made here: run away and hope for the best. But what Zot should have done is as Hector explains here.
You killed Kate, just walk here, hit this wave, and then you figure it out from there. I don't know what you're going to figure out. Like, I don't know how I'm getting out of this. Let's say you push this wave up to here. Now what? Well, they're like, oh, is the MF going to keep pushing? Maybe we should recall and put her off that way.
I have so many options, don't I? If I did that, I could take the port thing. I could walk out mid lane and go back to my team.
Yes.
Like, it's options.
Now, sure, in this specific case, Zot is probably dead here no matter what he does. But one of the best macro macro habits you want to develop is if you ever have first move on a minion wave, you need to push it. And this applies to literally any situation, not just niche ones. If the game ever feels awkward or you're uncertain of what to do, yet have first move on a wave, push it and then go from there. One of the reasons for this is as Hector explained to Zot in our next lesson.
Trying to be annoying with hit and run, there are certain areas that are like really favorable for you. If you hadn't hesitated, you'd already clear this wave. You now stand here, or like at the edge of this brush. You have vision, 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 vision. So you can adapt very quickly to anything that's going to happen. So you really want to think about these spots. Another good one is you're not even in the brush. You can actually just stand here. You have vision, 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 vision. So for example, if like you're trying to pressure this tower, but you're not sure if people are coming, you push the wave, just stand here, and you wait. And you just like see, is anyone coming? And you gather intel.
So as you just heard, a huge goal in your macro strategies is mostly to give yourself options. The more options you have, the easier your decision making becomes, since you can simply choose what looks best out of all of your choices. But if you only have one option, you're going to look to pick that, no matter whether it feels good or whether it feels bad. And this is why Zot was already naturally decent at macro. The best way to give yourself more options is simply to just push waves. If you pushed a wave, you could do whatever you want, whereas your opponents have to defend the wave you pushed in. So taking a closer look at that same game, if Zot had just immediately committed to pushing the next wave and then moved out of vision, he would have gave himself options. If multiple players of the enemy team flanked him after Dragon, he could just move up and escape through the jungle, while the rest of his team are free to push mid or top with Herald. If just Misfortune came to collect the wave, Zot would see it and could just look to duel her 1v1. Or if the enemy team chose to all collapse on Malzahar, Zot's already in a position to just come out and continue hard pushing. But instead, as he hesitates, he ends up getting stuck in a position where his options are limited. And let's get one thing clear here. We are by no means trying to get you to cosplay a Jax or Fiora in the side lane here. You can't, nor are you expected to 1v1 or 1v2 everyone who shows up, or even consistently just take towers. You're an ADC. And one of the most common complaints from ADC mains is that it feels impossible to actually have any real impact on the game. And honestly, well, they're not wrong. The early game is spent suffering through lane completely at the mercy of your support. Then, once you make it out, you rotate mid and end up wave clearing on autopilot, either praying your team plays around you if you won lane, or just stand by waiting for your team to start a favorable fight you can maybe contribute to if you lost lane. And this is something Zot has been actively trying to avoid.
To do a lesson on that in macro, because I don't like it when it's like this. I don't really know what to do.
Yeah.
I guess it's like push wave and then do something, but I don't know what do something is.
Yeah. No, that's
my comfort zone is the side lane at the moment.
Yeah, like that's all I've taught you. That's actually like a really weird opposite problem. I feel like every ADC is so used to sitting here in like safety.
Yeah, just doing nothing.
Yeah,
I
hate it.
Because you just clear the wave safely, and then I'm just like, okay, what now? And I just don't like standing there waiting around, you know? I just want to do something.
Yeah. Like once you get used to side lane play, like sitting mid feels so bad.
It's for that reason why this kind of on-the-fly macro is so effective. Nobody expects it from an ADC. Now, we're by no means saying any of this is easy. Once you start pushing waves this aggressively, you're going to end up making some decisions that lose you the game. It's just the way that life works when you're learning something. You're just going to end up dying, just like Zot has time and time again over the course of this week. It's risky, and it takes both skill and practice to execute. But that's the point here. The only way to get better at this is to just keep throwing yourself into these situations and learning from the chaos. But with that in mind, let's jump into one of Zot's games from later in the week to see how well he's applying these concepts. So starting off with some classic trolling by face checking the Amumu in the river, but once he respawns, Zot heads straight to an open wave, picking up a cheeky kill on the Teemo in the process here too. Then once noticing that everybody is shown on the map, he decides to aggressively push out top, grabbing the turret and one last wave before resetting. But with all lanes pushed in and Dragon up shortly, Zot heads mid to group with his team. And yes, we're by no means saying that you should never group, but obviously, first of all, Zot has to go back to the topside river to face check the Amumu again.
What am I doing?
Just to burn his flash and then clear the Teemo Shroom on the way out.
Oh my god, I CBA. Just before Dragon as well. I'm trolling this game.
So heading back on the map again, a team fight begins to break out mid with Vlad's flash engage. All right, pausing here, quick. What should Zot do now? From our earlier lessons, you should have instantly seen Zot has first move on the mirrored wave. Without any hesitation, he pushes it, and now there's suddenly options. Zot could either commit to this fight if anything ends up happening, he could use the priority to continue to pressure down mid, gathering information and zoning his opponents along the way, or he could even just transition up to top lane at any point. This is what on-the-fly macro is all about, and the enemy team, they're just falling apart. Varus tries to defend, but by the time he makes it into the base, the turret's already gone. Amumu looks to flank, but then decides against it, and the Fed Kiana goes on a solo mission trading 1-for-1 with the support. Then from here, while the rest of Zot's team all figure out what they want to do next, Zot's already made his decision. But for this next part here, let's listen in to Hector and Zot doing their weekly VOD review.
I guess look at what I see on the maplet.
Oh, is it a bot lane wave?
It is a bot lane wave.
I love that your team's going Baron, but you're here being annoying. You saw Teemo coming, so you need to... Oh.
Yeah,
Ooh.
waiting for him.
Ooh.
Seeing where he is. So I'm like, okay, he's behind me. So I'm moving up.
This right here was exactly what Hector was hoping to see from Zot after his lessons. And sure, like he said, Zot used Miss Fortune's passive movement speed to get out safely, but the key here is this kind of play isn't exclusive to her. Every ADC has tools they can use in moments like this. Ezreal or Tristana can hop over a wall. Ashe could scout with Hawkshot to get even more information. A strong duelist like Kai'Sa might even just look to take the 1v1. It really all just depends on the champ you're playing, as every ADC has something to help them when trying to macro. But let's take a look at what happens next.
Like, bye, Teemo.
Oh, you are nice. Thank you. I'm so proud. That might be the most proud I'll ever be of you. Oh, this is perfect. The vision standing. Yes, he comes here, you run up. He comes here, you run down, and he misses the wave.
I knew. I saw him coming, and I don't know where he's going to come from. So I stood in a position where I had an exit strategy for every single way he could come.
Oh, that's...
And unluckily for him, he picked the worst way, which meant I could just move up and get the tower while I went up.
Yep. Oh my god. No, that's...
This was exactly what you were saying yesterday, like the same situation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just abusing a massive peanut, like a P movement speed. Yeah, it's perfect. It's so beautiful.
Kill this wave, of course.
Yeah. And now, because you have so much pressure bot, you transition into Baron. You're just winning the map.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I'm so proud.
All right, to summarize everything Hector has taught Zot so far, here's all you need to know. Number one, stop trying to strategize your way to a win. Tactics-based games are more about being annoying and forcing mistakes rather than just trying to make some sort of game plan. You need to be annoying. Number two, you need to be in the moment, taking in information quickly and making quick decisions to put pressure on the map. Usually this involves just pushing waves, which Zot was already doing before this week. Number three, always, and I mean always, look at where the mirrored wave is. Always, always, always. This is the number one habit you need to build. Number four, if you can be at a wave first to push, it's OP. It gives you options and forces your opponent to defend. This makes them predictable, and you're gonna fluid in what you can do. Number five, press tab all the time. Tab, tab, tab. Always be aware of who is a threat and who you can fight. ADCs are not that weak in 1v1s if you're actually pushing and farming. You can take more duels than you think you can. And just to be clear, throughout this entire 90-day challenge, there's been zero behind-the-scenes coaching. Every single lesson Hector's given Zot to get him to this point, including the ones we covered in this episode, are available to Skill-Capped subscribers. So if you want to follow the exact same path and level up your game just like Zot did, as well as get early access to next week's lessons, check out the link in the description below. And spoiler, we're not done with macro just yet. This week was mostly about getting Zot to understand the mentality of macro, rather than just the small nuances that'll actually make it work way more consistently. The goal was just to get him pushing waves, being annoying, and trying to force mistakes. But there's still plenty more to learn, and we're going to dive into that in next week's episode. We'll see you there.